not all of the judges could come, but there's like 4 of them. Oscar, Clark from Unity, you should know them. Yeah, Oleg.
Do I have to dance now?
Dance?
No,
okay, we will dance.
If I don't like your answer, you can dance.
Teut Weidemann from iToy Mike Hines from Amazon, and Oleg Pridiuk from King. So these judges have different experience in judging. For example, Mike and Teut, they're with us from very beginning. Like they judged about 10 indie prizes. Oscar joined us from time to time, and this is the first time from Oleg. So you can hear different opinions about the judging.
It's not the first time he's been judging, though.
No.
Maybe first time indie prize, but he's done lots of them, lots of experience.
We want to discuss how we select the games, what judges pay attention to, and give you like a little bit of advice as how to showcase the game and how to make the most of them. So I want every judge to introduce themselves, their company, why they're judging, and what they are doing when they don't judge the games. Oleg, can you start?
Yeah, so yeah, it's really an honor to actually hop on the indie prize, but I judge lots of different competitions, like from IGF to something very local. Yeah, but introductions-wise, so hello, I'm Oleg, and I work for King, and I'm looking for cool indie games, and I talk about technologies. That's pretty much it.
Hey there, guys. Well, actually, this is what I do for a living, which includes judging game competitions. It also actually is fortunate enough to include writing my own games, which is awesome because Amazon actually pays me to do that, so that I'm always submitting games to the various app stores. I'm testing all the marketing stuff that I'm telling you guys about. Really just doesn't get any better than this.
That's true. I'm Teut. I'm an independent consultant for free-to-play monetization in online games. Part of my job where I'm getting paid for is actually evaluating the games of my clients. So they give me the game and say, hey, this is crappy monetization, can you fix it? And I'm evaluating the game and doing that process. So I have a lot of experience, judging 10,000s of games, and being a judge is kind of natural, and it's a lot of fun. I'm doing this since I have no idea how long.
I know for that for 2 years at least. Like, since we start receiving more submissions that we can actually accommodate at the show, we need a really fair selection. That is why we have game industry professionals.
And Yuliya is always shocked when I say, okay, I take 150 games, and at some point I email her, can I have all of them? So, I try to go through 470 games if I can, and just, cherry picking.
That's amazing. I tried to do that, and I can't carry that on with the number. It just gets we had so many conversations about this, haven't we? So when I first started doing judging at all, it was probably, I suppose it comes back to, so one thing that helps is being old. So you've done a lot of things, and I was a mobile operator guy once upon a time. And so every week, people would submit 100 games. I'm talking about professional quality Java games. I know that sounds like an oxymoron if you've ever understood what Java mobile games were like, but there were professional quality ones. So I would have submitted to me 100 games a week, and I would have to pick 20 that would go live every week, non-stop. Now, fortunately, I had a team that would do most of the heavy lifting, but no game went on the deck if I hadn't said yes. So when you have that kind of like rigorous kind of process, you can see tens of thousands of games in your lifetime, if not more. And so I'm lucky enough that I had that kind of rigorous process that meant that I can normally judge a game probably in about 6 seconds. And now that's a terrible statement to say, and you should never trust anyone who says that to you, but that's how long you've got with your audience. If you haven't got their attention in 6 seconds, you're done. So what I try and do is I look at those games, I try and understand whether I understand them already, and if I don't, I spend more time on them. And I do that with all the judging processes from the IMGA for this, for Big Indie Pitch, which Mike and I do an awful, in fact, I think you've done Big Indie Pitch a few times as well. Yeah. We do a whole bunch of this stuff, and it's meeting the developer that really makes it fantastic. So that's why I love coming here, because I get to play the game, and then I turn up and I see that you've updated it and you've added something, and that's brilliant.
Okay, thank you. So now you know all the judges, and we want to start from the very beginning, from the moment when you submit your game. So when you submit your game, it doesn't matter, is it a showcase or press release or anywhere when you want to apply, you should know that you are one of thousands or even 10,000 and so. So it's really important to make the first introduction of the game. So judges can see, like any judges, not only these judges, so they can understand your game and they can pay attention to it and want to play further. So the first question that we want to discuss is how to make the first introduction of your game and how to make it look good. Who wants to start?
Sure. One of the first things I look at is typically the video. I mean, when I get a huge spreadsheet with lists of games, the first thing I'll do is I'll just start downloading the .exe or the APK. And while all of that stuff is downloading in the background, I'll go ahead and I'll watch the videos. Your video has really got to show what makes your game unique and different from all the others in that category. I mean, seriously, guys, if I have to judge one more match 3 game, I mean, seriously, you gotta show me why yours is different. And, oh, well, the gems are blue. That doesn't cut it. No, show me how you've invented a new mechanic where you can tilt the world 90 degrees and all of the gems fall according to the new gravity. Now, that's kind of cool. That's a match 3 game that's different and one that I want to play. But if you don't show me the mechanic that makes you fun and unique and desirable, you know, yours is probably going to be one of the last games that I open up after all these things download. I love you guys, but I don't care about your resumes when I'm judging games. I don't care how much you deserve to win. I know you guys all deserve to win, but don't spend your time telling me. I'm going to base my decision based on the game that you're showing me, and you can excite me about what I'm going to get to when I play the game by showing me the most exciting, unique parts in your video.
And I agree. The video is the first thing I'm looking at. And do us a favor. Don't host your video on exotic platforms. Yeah, you're laughing, you know, but there are some submissions. Seriously. There are some submissions where the video is behind a password-protected wall on some Russian site, and I have no idea what the Russian site is saying.
Yeah, that's true, and it's...
And someone even submitted a video where I had to download a downloader in order to actually download the video. Sorry, no go. We're not installing any software from any Chinese stuff, you know, on that thing. So please use Vimeo's, YouTube, you know, the standard platforms to actually do that. And as Mike said, if your game is similar to something already on the market, which is very likely, I think I have killed like 120 Flappy Bird clones from Kettle Connect judging. Really many. If you do a Flappy Bird clone and it's special, has something really cool in it, show it to me in the first minute. If you fail to do that, I immediately think another Flappy Bird clone. So please don't do that.
I have that reaction with 8-bit sideways scrolling games of any type. Just, I see so many of them, it just drives me mad.
Yeah, it depends what the content is. So I try to look beyond the graphics. The graphics are important, of course, but on the other hand, if there's some specific gameplay and some really special thing you're really proud of or what you make unique, show it first, really early. And as Mike said, we don't care who you are. During the judging process, of course, we do care who you are, but you know, during the judging process, it's just the game speaking to us. That's the only thing. And speaking about password-protected stuff, if you think you cannot trust us in terms of submitting your game, APK, download, or whatever, you might rethink submitting it all. I have seen games where I have to go through hell to actually make it run. I had to email the team, they emailed me some password protected whatever, I had to unzip it, ask for a special RSA key or whatever, you know. After some time, if I cannot get the game run for 3 minutes, I simply delete it.
Have you actually been asked to sign an NDA before you're allowed to judge a game?
No.
Okay, yeah, didn't play that one.
Okay,
what a surprise.
So it's really important because it concerns not only about the videos, it's about the builds, about the graphics. So if you have a submission form and like we or someone else ask you to submit exactly this, please submit what we ask. If you ask an image of certain size, we need it on certain size, because then developers will contact me and say, like, you know what, our image on your site doesn't look good. Can you please replace it? I say, sure, I can, but please send me the right image. And the same with video. When you can't access it, it's really annoying. And yeah, the same with the build.
Some of you guys submit really complex high-end games. Like, you know, I have seen MMORPGs being submitted by indies, which is like pretty daring, but I don't have the time to play such a game for 3 weeks until I get to the really cool stuff. So there are several things. Either show the cool stuff in the video, plus give us accounts which are actually kind of has a cheat enabled, so it can actually fast process through it, or you give us a lot of stuff, or you give it a selection of early, medium, and end game accounts, so we can actually take a look at that. So if you have these complex games, help us evaluating the game really fast. We all have jobs, we have family, we have lots of other stuff to do, and we have 400 games to judge. You know, the better you help us to do that, the more efficient that process is, and the better we actually understand what game you're submitting. My favorite example, and I'm not negatively against this game, but the game is actually here on exhibition as well. There was a game where a really old French car, we call it the duck, the ente, talks to an elk on a coast during the sunset for over 1 hour. Just talking, text, just reading, all the time. It's very hard to judge from the video, which was over 1.5 hours, I think, what's so special about this game. So when you have such a game, please tell us in the first kind of couple of minutes, this is special, this is why, this is the story, you know, and here, now, you can actually look at the real game. Help us evaluating these more complex, long-running games as well.
Kind of in the AAA kind of space, we had this thing, the vertical slice, that was a great way for the team to judge whether the game was going to be valuable and get across the ideas that are in the game. And actually, for me, that's still valid. That's still an important thing. And to your point, if you don't show me at the beginning as a paying player or as a free-to-play player what you're doing and why, and give me a chance to get into it, if you don't foreshadow what's to come and why I should care in the first minute and a half, I mean literally a minute and a half, then you're going to lose players. Good exercise for yourself anyway to get that precision, to be able to communicate the essence of what this game's about, and that there will be joyful surprises to come if only you played a little bit longer.
The nice thing is that when you develop this video for the judges, guess what? There's a really good chance you'll be able to use the same video on your product page on the app stores.
So a lot has been said, but let's try to maybe summarize and frame it. Like, so you see on the stage some like really experienced and somewhat tired people who've seen so much games, and then you're showing them something. So if you're applying for a, indie prize or any other competition, probably you want to win it. Who wants to win when they apply?
Yeah.
Right. So you want to win. Well, then try, I mean, if you want to win, cater your game to us the way we are impressed about your game, so we notice your game, and so we mark it high, like how to impress us. I mean, you see us, tired, busy people who've seen so much games, and you're feeding like this, your game, to this kind of people. Okay, who we are, when we're judging that? Probably between our flights, right? So shitty Wi-Fi connection in the airport, super exhausted, bottle of the beer on the left, right? Like a shitty airport hotel connection that breaks. Probably we're in, we have our Mac, and you're trying to feed us 7Z or zip or even worse, RAR file. Probably there would be exe file inside. And I mean, this is what you're catering to us. Guess, what is the priority of this kind of submissions for us, right? So obviously, I mean, this is why we've been discussing so much about videos, because so we want to look into a game, we get mysterious RAR file somewhere, on Russian file sharing network, and then we have a video. Obviously, we're gonna click on the video first, and then see if we even give this mysterious .rar file a chance. You're getting what I'm saying, right?
And one important thing is that, just looking at a video and judging an interactive game seems like it doesn't fit. But the experience we have in evaluating games, I can tell you when I look at your video of your game for the first 2 minutes how the game will actually unfold in the next half an hour. So that's how much experience we have. We have seen 10,000s of games. We have evaluated them. Some of us have shipped hundreds of games. So, please be aware that the video is important, but we are also really, really experienced in judging that. Of course, making our life easier is just one part. You also have to make an awesome game. Try to stand out. Try to be unique. Try to do something what no one else is doing. This is kind of the art. And you saw on these games here that there are a lot of games here they're unique. There's nothing else, somewhere which is compared. And that's, the the kind of pride when we are sitting here. By the way, this is one important info. When we judge the games, we have several rating columns, you know, where we say, you know, how do we think is the art, the music, the interactivity, is it nominate worthy for the best kids game, etc. When we submit all this, all these ratings, we don't know who will win until we are here, like you are. We don't know who wins.
But we can guess. Because we've seen the games.
Yeah, we have seen the games, but we haven't seen all the games, and we haven't seen all the ratings. So, you know,
well.
all the ratings of all the judges are kind of rated then and summed up, and there's some extra magic behind it, where basically the top are listed then, and they're invited here on the show. Which makes it really, you know, a good process for us as well, because, you know, I thought, oh, this will win, this is so cool, you know, it's like the best game. I even played, you know, after I finished judging, you know, and it's not even in the nominees. And I'm saying, like, why is that? You know, we learn in the process as well.
Yeah, I've got a couple of. I mean, the thing that for me, it's like it's dating, but speed dating, and we want to find something attractive in your game. We absolutely want to, but unless you make us feel allured, you know, feel tantalized, you know, unless you suggest why it is that we should spend more time with you than the others, why are we going to judge your game positively? You know, you've got to kind of communicate in a very clear way why you're the tantalizing, exciting, you know, person in the room that I want to spend the rest of my evening with.
And don't forget one thing, right? When you're submitting your game, you're actually indirectly talking to Unity, to Amazon, and to a lot of other companies. You know, that's like networking, which is really important as well.
That's a pretty tall order for how you get a first impression, isn't it? So what comes after first impression?
So let's just summarize a little bit. So first impression is really very important, and it comes to the video and to the build. So for the video, you need to make your introduction during the first, I guess, 30 seconds, and then like minute and a half at the most, right? So you need to show what are the main features of the game and what is unique about that. Almost the same you need to do with your game build. I'm not a judge, I'm just an organizer, but I can say on behalf of every judge, because I communicate with all of them and I can hear their suggestions, complaints, etc. So when you have a build and you need to log in, or like your main features starts not on the first level, but for example at 5th level. So to play to the 5th level, you need to spend at least like half an hour on an hour. So it's really, really not good. So if you have a login, you need to log in to play your game, just provide judges. Create one login and a password and give it to submission form so all the judges can play. It will help a lot, right? And save a lot of money, time.
Test accounts for, you know, early, mid, end game. Enough Steam keys if you're on Steam, please.
Please, enough Steam keys, yes.
We not sell it, seriously, never. I give it only to the judges and may play myself just to get instruction for that.
And while this sounds like a lot of work, I mean, probably, let's be honest, like between you and, well, me or us, you're submitting to lots of contests. So you're doing this enormous job once for indie prize, but then, I mean, you reuse it again and again and again. So it's kind of worth the efforts to make like a proper build and proper video and proper, you know, text speech and all that. So.
And also about the build. If features of your game starts not at the first level or not at the first 2 levels, you can make another build, right? Just for the judges. Just say like, this is introduction, and then you go exactly to the most exciting part of the game, so people can see it and not go through the tutorial for half an hour.
I think that's a key thing, actually, because, you know, we're not new players. You know, we do need to be shown the specifics of your game, but we don't need to have that labored to us, because generally we've played, like you say, tens of thousands of games. So you don't have to necessarily take us through the whole tutorial, but you do at least have to show us the things that we're supposed to do and get us to the meat as quickly as possible.
So yeah, just give really easy access to your build when you submit your game somewhere, to your video, maybe like to art, if it's someone will judge by arts, and give really short description. Like when you're one of the 1,000 people trying to spend as less time as possible to review a game, and you know, like, it's probably like, okay, this game, the same, this game, the same. But if you have something really like interesting and intriguing at the beginning, people must probably want to continue, right?
But like with this small mark, I mean, we've discussed like, hey, make a special video for judges. But for example, would you prefer a special, you know, zip file or a Steam code? Like, what would you prefer to judge? A Steam code, like, or a zip file?
Always a Steam code.
I think like some zip. I think Mac can't open zip, right? Yeah. So like, if you use something, as was said, just use YouTube and make sure this video is everyone can access this video. if you share like the files with your art, also please make sure that anyone can use this file from their card folders you have.
Actually, I like a .exe because often when I'm traveling, I'm not online, and Steam doesn't really help me a whole lot sometimes.
Yeah, so like that's I mean, it's actually, it might be different. Like if you're either like to make a special judges-friendly build or to share a Steam code. So for example, I myself would prefer a Steam code just so I like can play the game and then see how the game has been developing. Like, you know, what are the comments and all that.
Okay, so I think we almost finished with this, and we can continue with the other question. I want to discuss how we actually judge the games and how we select the nominees. So what are we looking for in each certain nomination? Like, we have 10 nominations. I will just tell all of them, and you can pick up which one you want to discuss. So we have Best Game Audio, Best Game Design, Best Game Art, Best Game Narrative, Best Multiplayer Game, Best Kids and Family Game, Best Mobile Game, Best VR Game, and Most Innovative Game. So each nomination, each judge, like, okay, so how the process is. We have a spreadsheet with all the list of games, and we have 10 different categories that all the judges need to put from 1 to 5 points for each. So all this like nomination that we have, this is the categories that judges judge the games. So when we summarize everything, all the points, we decide who will showcase the game, like the 100 the best games from the list, they will be at the showcase. And then we took like every individual category and decide who will be the winners in this certain category. So that is why it's important to know how the judges pick up the games for each certain category. Who wants to start? Maybe we can start with Best Game Audio or the specialists.
Yeah, I mean, I personally found audio the hardest one to do myself because I don't think of myself as a specialist in that area. For me, what I tend to try and do is play each game in turn, but then when I'm looking at the judging, I'm thinking about, I kind of have this cheat where the first one I hear, I mark as a 3, because that's my baseline. And then I'm looking for the qualitative difference between the experience of the game I've just played with that benchmark. So in audio terms, it's like, is it about the ambience of the sort of background music, or is it about the sound effects, or is it about the way that my interactions trigger a change in the way the audio works? So I'm probably the worst one to start with audio because I can't do it in an absolute way. For me, it's always a relative experience. I don't know how you guys do it, but that's how I try and look at it.
I judge audio last. Usually graphics are obvious, easy to judge, but it's hard if you have indie style special graphics, which, you know, look odd, but actually fits totally perfect with the game. So that's a little bit more the difficult position, but all the rest can be actually judged depending on platform. The gameplay I can judge easily because, you know, I have seen so many games. And as soon as this game is over a certain threshold, meaning that, hey, you know, there's something special in here, then I actually go into the audio. I'm let's say, audio ignorant, meaning that I usually play games with sound off. That doesn't mean that I cannot judge proper audio, but audio is more than music, right? There can be games with really awesome voiceovers. There can be games with really awesome, you know, atmospheric effects, etc. So audio is just more than just a simple audio here, that's the reason why if you're doing the video, the clear audio is an important point if you want to have good scores there.
It's an interesting one though, because I find it's almost overwhelmingly tempting to give the music games an additional score on the audio. I try really hard not to do that, but I find my instincts go, oh, it's an audio game, therefore I must judge it for audio.
But I have seen indies submitting videos with their game, and they put some dubstep music on top from some DJ from Sweden. Yeah. That means that you get a 0 score on audio. That's not good.
Yeah, also, sometimes people really think that we judge like, okay, this is a good trailer. It's not a game, but it's really awesome music with a trailer. We don't judge with a trailer music. So that should be like sounds and all the complete picture of the sounds.
So I've actually got a more absolute scale than a relative scale. Sometimes, because when I play the games, I usually play with my noise-canceling headphones in. So I'm listening to what you've done in stereo. The interesting thing about this is some audio can be really freaking annoying, guys. I mean, repeated over and over and over again, the same track for an hour. And sometimes when I just really feel like ripping my headphones out of my ears, okay, well that's a 0, right? So that takes away from the experience of the game. Mildly annoying, I'll leave the headphones in case something interesting happens, well I'll give that like a 1. You know, neutral is about a 2. Okay, he got some stock sound out of a Unity store, he threw it in there and said, yeah, we'll just play this in the background for a while. Fine. Where it gets interesting is when the sound changes in relation to what's happening in the story, if you've got a story-based game, or in the action, if you've got some sort of an action-based game. If the sound effects change to this really cool tinkling or rattling thing, when the things in your environment change or move, and when you get close to something that's like solving a puzzle, and all of a sudden the soundtrack somehow changes, it gets a little more exciting. I mean, it feels kind of like Star Wars, where it's kind of scripted to the action. Then you're in 4 and 5 territory. And what does it take to earn a 5 for audio? Think, is it something that Disney would have done? Is it, if Disney did the sound for this game, is this the way they would have envisioned it? Something that really, you really feel less involved with the game if the audio is missing. That's how you get a 5.
So, audio is quite hard since most indies outsource that. Like, you don't have your own dedicated sounds person. Anybody from this audience have a dedicated sounds person in their team? There is 1.
Is it
That's
you?
2, 3, 2.5. Yeah, it seems like the last one wasn't certain. So that's what you get. Like, audio is normally outsourced, so you get external composer, like who probably like, or stock music. That's what you get. So audio is hard to judge. But then if you're working on mobile game, and like when I'm judging a mobile game, I kind of understand, like, yeah, mobile games are normally played with, like, at best with the sound going from the mobile loudspeaker, but normally with sounds off. So like I put it like, I judge it from this position, but if it's a desktop game, like sounds are important. And then, okay, how much love, how much effort did you put into that? And yeah, like the most thing, like, does it annoy? And it does annoy normally, since, well, I mean, you purchase it like 3 minutes of the audio, and then, well, obviously that's a good idea to loop it. Like, and 3 minutes, like, no, each 3 minutes, like the same thing. So, yeah, again, just like think about us from judging perspective, and since we're like, I'm judging it from player's perspective. Like, does it annoy? Does it help me to perceive? Like, does it help you to tell your story about the game, or does it disturb? So like, this is like 0 to 10, right? Like, does it help? Does it disturb?
Last time I saw any stats on it, it was 50% of mobile games are played with the music turned off. But it's also interesting, we talked about these like, annoying looped tracks. One thing I wish I was better at judging is when I've got one of those loop tracks and I don't notice it's annoying. Because I think they should be given some real credit. Because there are a couple of games I've played, not necessarily in this award, but in a previous one, where it occurred to me after about 2 hours of playing, after I judged it, where I carried on playing that game, that I didn't mind the music, even though it was the same track repeated. So I don't know how we get better at judging that kind of stuff. I wish we could.
But that's relatively rare that you see that. And when you notice something like that, okay, that's really appropriate. And I mean, they always get a higher score when I hear those.
But I only noticed too late. That's my problem.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I also put very high score for a nice voiceover, since this is expensive. If a team has invested so much time, money, and effort into a voiceover, well, that's the maximum score. It's normally like 1 game in 10 or in 20.
So we can move to another category. Like Toy said that artists are pretty easy to judge. So does someone wants to add something about the best game art?
If you submit a game with pixel art, you have a hard threshold to get over.
Yes.
And there are these art trends, worldwide, and pixel art, it has grown too big. Pixel art is being used in games which would look so much better and play so much better if it's not pixel art. Some games deserve pixel art, like some of the winners here, and it actually fits the genre, it fits the audience, but please put pixel art in there just because it's cool to have pixel art as an indie. So make sure the graphic style matches. if you have a really, I have seen graphic styles I was amazed at, but the game never made it to the nominations because you cannot actually show that game in public without annoying the audience. But there's some really unique stuff out there. You know, try to be unique in terms of graphic style as well, which is an obvious thing. But I don't know. I don't remember how that game was called last year. There was a game. I don't know. The programmer has, I think, some mental problems who did this game. There were only old people in the game, grandmas, you know, and hitting other ones with all sorts of fecus and piss and whatever, and you know, mental grandpas ripping heads off of someone else. You know, that was like. After the 2-minute video, I just like was sitting there for a minute and said, "What have I seen just now?"
Were you in trauma?
No, yeah, I'm trauma, but you know, actually it impressed me. I actually watched that thing 3 times, simply because I said, this is so fucking cool, you know. If he would have made a proper game out of it, you know, he would have won. You know, that's how powerful art can be, as audio as well. But don't overuse styles out there. You know, okay, pixel art is one, which is really hard to get us amazed at. The second one is cubic. If you just have cubic stuff, you know, it's like, oh, please, not again.
How do I know when you're doing this because it's an artistic imperative versus, holy cow, I'm just lazy. It's too much work to do actually considerably higher fidelity graphics. Sometimes I can't tell when you're trying to save a little bit of effort or when you're actually trying to pay homage to a specific art genre. Usually you don't get the benefit of the doubt if I have that question. Other than that, art for me is actually probably one of the hardest to judge because there can be amazing renditions of an art style that I just happen not to be fond of, and I have to kind of get past that and say, of all of the cubic styles I've seen, while I'm not a fan, this is probably one of the best games I've seen that uses that kind of art. And I have to sort of wake myself up and remind myself I'm not judging my preference for the style, I'm judging the implementation against its peers in that category.
I mean, I
but
think
that's pretty hard to do.
Kind of, I feel fairly similar to that. But I try to categorize. So, okay, here are the pixel art ones, and I've used my relative scale. This is the top tier of the pixel ones. And things like Party Hard, which I still think is awesome. The reason why it was one of my favorites a few years ago was because it was perfect for the job it was doing. And that's, I think, really where I come into it. So for me, I can tell if it's, you know, lazy pixel art or not, and it's because, is it right for the game or not? And most of the time, most of the games I see are not right for the game. They're just there because they like pixel art. And I feel like I can tell, maybe I'm not right, but emotionally it comes across, this guy dislikes pixel art, I don't care enough, I'm going to move on to the next game that does it better. That's terribly harsh. But then I find it difficult to compare between those categories. So pixel art's one, proper, you know, 3D, you know, characterization, you know, realistic-like characterization is a different one. Having a kind of like sort of hand-drawn or cel-shaded style 3D, I find, again, it's something I can judge within that category, but I find difficult to compare with those other categories. Well,
I mean, I know you. I mean, I've seen you judge, Oscar.
Yeah.
You do actually give credit to innovative implementations.
Absolutely.
So if it's something where a cubic style actually makes a difference in the gameplay or how a visualization materializes, you'll say, my God, that was really key to how the game plays, versus, okay, that would make a terrible first-person shooter art style. Yeah. What were you thinking? And that can go, of course, suitably last, no matter how well implemented it may have been.
But here's the thing, we're just telling the people how to properly develop games and the art style fits the genre, etc., which is, you know, should be natural. Yeah. The one important thing you should know is that if you know that you're not the strongest in art, don't try to compete. Try to compete in gameplay, audio, whatever, where the strength is, right? This is just I think the best tip I can give. There are games here which won in art, but, you know, which would never maybe win audio or the best of the show. But hey, you know, it's best art.
So just a short resume about the best game art. So trends are not bad, not good. If you want to follow the trends, just make sure that they fit your game. Like if it's pixel art and it's popular right now, and if you create a pixel art game, it doesn't mean that you will be successful. Just make sure it fits your game. and I think we can continue with the other nominations. It's okay? Or do you have some?
No.
Okay,
I want to talk about harmony.
Okay.
I want to talk about harmony, actually. I mean, we've discussed innovation and like different art styles, but I want to talk about harmony. What harmony is actually. I mean, if like, with a good example about pixel art, is if the game is pixel arty, and like the art, the focus is not on pixels, but on art here, I would expect the music to be 8-bit. I mean, because this is how you cater pixel art to people, right? I mean, and the gameplay should be simplistic. Otherwise, this is a dissonance. If I see pixel art, I kind of like, okay, this is art, and like it's going for like minimalistic style. This is what I expect from the gameplay, from music, like from how the game feels, and vice versa. If it's 2D, like I mean, there are like certain expectations. I mean, obviously there is like place for innovation. There is always a like special placeholder for innovation in my heart. But still, it should be a product. Like there should be a harmony. If like be it an art or music or something, if it's like if the game is like here, but like you didn't want to invest in art and the art is here, we feel it, I feel it. That's what we've talked about.
But I think the harmony thing is really important, but the games that stand out challenge that harmony in a way that has a purpose. So not just challenging it because the designer's ego says, oh, I can do this differently, but because they have a specific purpose in mind that's communicating something about the human experience or something just about gameplay that resonates with its audience. And that's the hardest thing to do, but it's also the thing that makes the game stand out.
Yeah, there should be a product.
We don't have much time left, so maybe each of you can pick up one nomination, maybe something special that you want to tell to people about like one certain nominations. We have like left best game narrative, best multiplayer game, best kids and family game, best mobile game, best VR game, and most innovative game. Like each of you, one of the nominations. What is special about judging them? I can choose
fast. Narrative. This is the hardest one, since, well, again, the games are about, like, some games about mechanics, some games about narrative. So, like, I give the maximum score for a narrative if at certain time of gameplay I feel that it's not that I'm playing the game, but the game plays me. Suddenly, like, okay, it's not I'm playing the game is playing me. You're getting it, right? So it's very hard, but like at this point, this is a maximum score.
I'll do kids and family. When I sit down with my kids to play a game, usually I'm not trying to squash my kids into oblivion and prove to them that I'm the master of their playing. No. Okay, no. I mean, especially with the younger kids, it's something I want to do cooperatively with them. So really, kids and family, I'm looking for cooperative play, not competitive play. 2, I'm looking for incredibly intuitive controls and game mechanic. Because honestly, when I had younger kids, there's no way they're going to pick up, the control system from Halo. So something that, you can expect a younger kid to get the hang of pretty quickly. They've got to be short game cycles. My kids were short attention span theater defined. If I can't really have a great experience in 90 seconds or 120 seconds, okay, guess what? The device is on the floor and they're out, picking their nose, looking at flowers in the air, around. So fine, we can do that. But if we want to play a game together, it's got to be something where the action keeps going and it keeps iterative quickly. So those are some of the things that are most important for me when I'm looking for good kids and family games.
I'm usually judging game design mainly for your safety, because I'm a story ignorant, so I don't even read quest text, nothing. I don't care about story. So I'm sorry, I don't I don't value any narrative stuff. I'm someone who wants game mechanics. I have a tough time testing multiplayer games. I'm specialized on mobile, and if there's no one online, or your game hasn't launched yet, or in soft launch and there's no one to play with, it's really hard to test multiplayer. I have no idea how to make that easier though, but that's kind of the category I would like to test more, but it's really hard to do properly.
That's what your kids are for.
Okay,
she's a little young, but
some of these games are not compatible with the kids, and some of these games actually, my daughter is level 440 in Overwatch. She would playtest stuff, but some of the indie games, she's like, that's boring. I don't know if there would be good judges. I don't think so. Actually, the best judge I have on my side is my girlfriend. But the kids, I don't know if I would use my kids.
Yeah, I suppose I have a 17-year-old.
That's a very nice remark. How many of us actually outsource game testing to our girlfriends?
No, it's not outsourcing. My girlfriend, luckily, is a judge as well, and she specializes in art, so that helps a lot. So she usually has different games to judge than I have, and you know, sometimes we are judging side by side, and we're like, why the fuck can you judge that cool game and I can't? You know, there's some jealousy there, and that's a cool thing because there's a kind of the competition going on who has the coolest games, and that's good, I think, for the process.
I was going to go into innovation one because I think that's an interesting one because innovation kind of requires that you, as a designer, are aware of what else is out there. And one of the biggest problems I have is someone who kind of thinks their game is innovative is that there's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Because you don't, the Dunning-Kruger effect, this is the phenomenon where you don't know, you're not qualified enough to know that you're incompetent. I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just, you know, I'm incompetent at many things, but I have enough ego to think that I know everything. And of course I know everything, and it's only when you actually discover someone who knows that thing more than you that you realize you have no idea. And so what I think is really interesting about the innovation side of it is just trying to make sure there's such a huge scope of things that have been done before. And I see people bringing in the old mechanics from a board game into a kind of mobile game. And I find that fascinating because it resonates with me enough because I recognize the mechanic and somebody is applying it in a different context. That's brilliant. Or even things like, you know, I'll use Clash Royale. There was that moment where you have to, instead of having to wait to get your, getting your prize, you had to wait to get your prize. That was like someone turning an idea on its head completely. And when I see something like that in a game where someone's taken a cliche and done a little thing to turn it on its head, there's a friend of mine's game, you know, Hue, which basically takes a platform game and just changes the color. And because you change the color, the objects of that color in the background now are visible.
One of the winners, Calican Asia last year, I think, was Tiny Guardians. It was an inverse tower defense. That was, you know, that was really cool. So innovation for me means that you surprise me. I have seen so many games, I cannot count them anymore. I only say 15,000, but I think it's more. That, you know, when my jaw drops the floor, you know, your innovation score is 5, and it was kind of all my fault. This is like, you know, this is a really good 4. I'm a really hard judge. So, if, you know, a 5 is like, oh my God, I want this game. A 4 is a really good score you get from me. But, you know, surprise people who know everything. If you think your game is innovative, it means that it's innovative against everything in the world. Remember, we are judging, you know, Asia, Tel Aviv, Europe, US. 4 continents. Thousands of developers out there who submit games. I think in the year it's like, how many submissions we get for all 4 per year, roughly?
More than 1,000, that's for sure. Yeah. But like this year starts really good. We have 470 submissions only for the first show in Berlin, so it will be like more than 1,000.
So that's your competition, yeah? I don't want to scare you off, right? But the innovation prize is really well deserved usually, and we find something special where we actually, you know, if I get goosebumps, you know, you have a winner. And that's when I personally visit you on the show floor and say, you know, you did a really cool job.
And it's not just, it can be gameplay. It could be something technical. It could be about art. It could be about any number of things.
Or grandmas throwing figures.
Yeah.
Awesome pixel art.
But it's you've done something that confounds an expectation. And like I say, and obviously not just the Casual Connect ones, but if we're doing other awards as well. I mean, I was surprised when I went to Jordan for the IMGA, and the MENA region game developers were producing game mechanics that shocked me because they were so advanced. Not all of the games were as robust as we would see in an event like this, but they had something that really opened my mind. And I think the more we get cultural connections, the better we'll get.
Okay, we have more questions for discuss, but we are running out of time. So if someone have questions, yes, please. Can I get him?
Thank you for the discussion. My question is that if you guys talked about audio and how you like, sometimes you don't have audio switched off. For example, you mentioned that 50% of the times you're not even listening to the audio of the game. what about the games where audio is the central core part? I mean, do those games have an inherent disadvantage in the marketplace? And
No. If the game tells me the first second, turn audio on for a better experience, you know, I know that audio has a special role in that, but then better fulfill that promise.
It's a pretty high bar, actually, because if audio is going to be the central theme of your game mechanic, then it's really got to be good, because that becomes then your game mechanic. The harder part, I mean, most of the games I've seen that do that actually do a pretty good job, because they get that. Where they fall down is the art sucks. Like there will be just like a solid single color background instead of having any texture or interest back there. So you may nail sound, but you let the rest of the game fall apart. Kind of like if you've got this amazing graphic and you've got this super integral game mechanic, the beautiful art, but the sound is crap. So it's hard because once you nail your core mechanic, you still got to pay attention to the rest of the game.
One thing I was going to add to Teut's comment was, you absolutely should tell us. If audio is an important part of the game, tell us. And my own game is an audio game, but don't have a symbol saying best with headphones if it's not actually really good with stereo. And it means really good for me, because it really annoys me when some game says best with headphones, and I put it on headphones, and it's like the same as if I had it on speaker.
Hear, hear.
I remember a game which says that with headphones, and I put my headphones on, and I didn't notice that they were doing something special, because when I tilted my phone, actually the stereo moved left and right. So there was some game mechanic attached to that as well, you know. That was like cool.
Thank you. Any other questions? Also, just to make it clear, these are judges. They have their own experience, and they judge the games according to this. So if your game is not selected, it doesn't mean that you're bad. It's good. It's just like certain people who judge the games, they have huge experience, but they are not like, you know, the best ones that can say like, your game is bad. No, it's not bad. It's just many, really many applications.
You say we're not the best judges.
Yeah,
you're the best judges.
Why aren't we the best ones?
Okay. I don't know. Some games out there that I've seen look like basically elementary school projects, and well, I don't know about that.
You need to think about this, but still, there are a lot of different competitions, and it doesn't mean that your game bad. Maybe you have a bad presentation of your game, so this can also happen.
Okay, just my question is bad about the best VR category, because I know my game was on that category, and I don't know why. What was the best decision there? I don't know if I can explain myself.
So are you saying,
yeah,
so
what was the judging criteria on the best VR game? Because it's hard to test.
I think it's difficult in the VR one, because that was the category I spent a lot of time playing. And the hard part is you've got all these different genre types, effectively, and because we're still exploring what VR means as a space. And so what I was trying to do was in the context of what this developer's trying to do, how does that deliver? And it was an incredibly hard thing to try and work out and compare, because if you look at the Blink and Die game versus some of the sort of other games, I forget which one yours.
Oh, the BMBs.
Yeah. And it was something to do with like this combination of art and behavior and action. And in my case, I was looking for somebody who was putting the player's experience as seamless and engaging as possible. So that's why, for me, Blink and Die is a really good game, because I'm sitting there and I'm exploring it and I'm immersed in it. But you could argue I could do that with an AR thing, or I could do that with just a control thing. But it worked because there was a melody of moving my head.
Can you please hold your mic?
Yeah, sorry. So there was a melody. That's what that grabbed my attention. And I suppose if I'm saying anything, I'm trying to judge them on their own individual merits, but then you're looking for the thing that grabs your attention. And there are so many of us, we're going to make our opinions at the time we test them. Would I have the same opinion in a year's time, having played them over months? I don't know, but that's the challenge we're dealing with. I think that's what Yuliya is talking about. This is not a quality judgment of your ability and talent as a developer, but we're looking at the snapshot moment of when we get that game and the emotion it gives us at that point we're judging. And that's what I think is the result of what we get.
Also, just to make it clear, not all the judges judge the VR games. Only those judges who have...
I don't test VR.
I don't judge VR.
Hello, I'm Oleg, and I don't judge VR.
That's
So-
awesome.
So basically, it's my fault.
So we had 42 judges, and only those who have VR devices and can actually judge the games, only to those judges we send the VR games.
And in my case, I don't have an Oculus of my own, so I have to go borrow one. And so it's a little more difficult to manage all the things at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I have a VR question as well. And it was, what are you expecting to see on a VR game trailer? Because when we made our trailer, we were really clueless how to, because when you are playing a VR and then you're seeing on the computer screen what you have just experienced, it's really not the same. So it was really, we were really lost. We were really in the dark.
Oscar, actually, let me take a shot at this one.
Wait a second, you just won and you are asking us if you did the correct trailer? You're
Yes,
awesome.
actually,
It was
yes.
awesome. Just, you know,
Thank
if
you,
you're
but-
submitting a VR game and you want to know how it's done, you know, look at his submission.
Yeah, he also have 2 trophies.
I don't know why we did that, but you can ask.
So actually,
Thank you.
that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Before I play a VR game, one of the things I want to see when I look at a trailer is, why does this game need to be in virtual reality? And what I expect to see is an annotated video. I expect to see a kind of a flat video of what you're doing in your game, and I expect there to be text or voiceover annotation that says, in the 3D version of this game, you are immersed in the center of this puzzle, and you need to manipulate various things in 3 dimensions to actually change the structure of your immediate environment so that you can get out of this particular puzzle. And when you annotate that, and then you show me the 2D version of that, I can imagine why this game needs to be in virtual reality, as opposed to so many of the VR games that I've played, which are basically, come on, 2D platformers in a kind of a wraparound screen environment. Doesn't need to be in VR. So show me why it needs to be in VR and explain it in the video.
It's a bit like having a GoPro video in some ways. It's like you want that kind of feeling. I have to admit, I cheated a little bit because there are some of the VR games that had a YouTuber video, so I actually actively went to look for some of those to augment my other viewing. So it was really interesting watching a YouTuber player, and then, so you see the trailer, see the YouTuber, and then you do it yourself, and I found I got a much better feeling about what games were like as a result of doing that. But that was me taking extra time, which I maybe shouldn't have done.
So our time is finished. I'm sure you have more questions. You can ask the judges. They are in there. They will be in the hall, in the exhibition hall, or just after the panel. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for judges. I think you get a lot of new information about the showcasing, about the judging process. So yeah, just grab the judges at the end. And there is your bird. Surya Ksul.
Heads up for your bird. Bird coming.
Yeah, thank
There we
you.
go.
Thank you.